Back then I used to so much roam and show so much curiosity. By the time I left the company creative team almost scaled to 600 people. So when I joined, there were 20 to 30 people. Don't just say ki you only have 24 hours, but
Hey, what is up, guys? What is up? Hope you guys are having a lovely day. I welcome you again to this podcast, and today we have a very special guest. And it's been a long, long time that we are doing podcast, and I've got someone super awesome with us, Ravi. I'm just gonna get him on board to introduce himself. Ravi, how are you, man? And just a brief introduction about yourself.
hey, hi, Have. Glad to be part of this Design Hat initiative that you are running, and super excited to see that you are doing great efforts in giving back to the community. So, to talk few lines about myself, I'd say I'm currently a designer at Microsoft. I am a founding designer for Microsoft Start Health, and I'm also a content producer. So, I started India's first international design podcast called the Notes of Design, and I myself has a YouTube channel called Design with Tej, where I talk to different people about their design journeys and their journeys in different design schools. So yeah, that's about me, and looking forward for the exciting session ahead.
Super awesome, man. Super awesome. Just for everyone, I have been like seeing Tej for a while now, but I'm definitely going to talk about more about the podcast and how you got started and what kind of led you to that. But let's just start with the basic question that I generally start with everyone who is on the podcast. How did you become curious about design in your early days, and how kind of you got into design?
Wonderful. So my journey, like pretty other any non-design school guy, it was quite very weird. I would say, like it started from a very moment of an instant. I'd say so. It started back in 2013, and back then internet was also wasn't a huge thing, and cell phones were just coming out in our hands. And then I was quite fascinated on automobile right from my childhood. So I thought I'll become a mechanical engineer, and that's why I have recruited myself for that. And in my first year, I met few folks from computer science, and until then, I had not really curious about what exactly a programming language is or what are the different things that you can do for. So just out of curiosity, I just reached out to a senior and asked him like, "This stuff looks cool. Can I?" I was always fascinated about games and all. So the first question that I asked him was like, can this system run these sort of games, and if this can do, how do games are actually made from? So that guy himself was also wasn't that curious. So I didn't find a right answer from him. Then I went back again. I spoke to my sister, and she was back then in MIT, and she was doing another program not into computers and all, where she hooked me up with her friends. And then I heard this concept called as human computer interactions, and she mentioned me how does your interactions can shape and the way how you form. There's a delightful experience with every game you play. There's a reward mechanism, and that's what excites all that psychology. She just ranted me out, and in that 1 hour long call, that really helped me understand like, oh, this sounds super cool and exciting. This is all about human connections and emotions. So that's where my journey actually started, and I found some wonderful mentors on the way. And back then, mentorship programs and all like ADP list and stuff wasn't also there. So I used to go to design colleges, stand outside, meet few faculty for some time, ask them different questions and all. But one thing I always felt, the community of design is quite welcoming. So till date, whenever I reached a person like to learn something more, no one ever said, "Hey, you don't belong from this background or you don't belong from this field." Everyone is so welcoming and warm that they had helped me shape that path. So by that time, I started doing parallelly all these like, different things on psychology and how does things work. And then I got my hands on Photoshop. Those were the early tools. In 2013, I was exploring on Photoshop on how to create basic UI, and then only material design and all things also I came to learn about while I was deeply exploring about these things. And from then, yeah, it took off really well. And in 2015, I did my first proper UX freelancing gig, and from there it just took off. And then my first job with Byju's, and it was quite an early company back then when I started in late 2016. We were just bunch of folks trying to explore what to do for the upcoming generation of the kids. And I would say that has built me a really great, strong platform, because we were quite a few people back then. So we used to do all sort of things along with just UX. I was doing film production. I was making content for kids. I was animating videos. So it was almost like a design school experience for me with bunch of all other creative folks. So I feel it's a great way to find a way or create a path for yourself rather than following someone else's path, and that had really worked in my case. And yeah, and from there I have worked with Wong Doody Studios and then Temenos, and now it's been almost gonna be 2 years with Microsoft. So yeah, the journey has been quite great so far. Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. Just wanna focus. We're gonna get to a lot of topics here, but just wanna focus one that you said about getting mentorship. I really wanna tell the people who are gonna watch this that what like is mentorship first. Is mentorship really important? Like when you're starting in design. Second, I know like there are a lot of platforms currently, but how did you do it at that time when there were not these kind of platforms and not this? I will say this ease to kind of connect with people. So yeah, just go ahead. Yeah, these two questions I have.
Yeah, great questions, Abhay. So I feel mentorship is very important thing throughout your career. So I'm almost a mid senior level guy now, but still I seek to my mentors for different problems I face through. And I believe, be it any creative field, be it singing or art or anything, these sort of fields are something that even though you achieve mastery, but there's someone else who is master than you. So I always feel it's very important for us to find a right mentor at every stage of your life, and that's how mentors play a very important role in guiding or shaping a right in your path. If you are doing right or wrong, they are there, and if they have done those mistakes, they'll tell you so that you don't have to go through that same journey again. So that's how mentors have helped me always. Back in those days, internet was tough thing and all, so I used to go to design schools. I used to travel all the way from Hyderabad to IITH, the Bangalore NID campus, the NID. I used to stand outside, wait for a few folks to come. I used to talk to them saying, "Hey, I'm this guy from this university, wanted to get into these things. So excited about this. Could you just help me out?" And there I found a lot of curious people who were doing their PG projects and all, masters peoples and all. So they always used to say, come along with us. We used to do, and they used to sketch for hours and hours and all. I used to sit just with them, and just my whole focus shifted from being a mechanical engineer to be a designer, because I was so into this, so involved into the process, that I almost felt all these outside conversations, though I never stepped into a proper design school, but these outside conversations has helped me today what I am. And that's where the giving back angle also I feel always touched, because back in those days those people has helped me today to become what I am. So now at least I'm in that stage to give back to the community, so I'm always happy to participate in these discussions, and also I started multiple ventures to help the people out. So yeah, those were the journeys, I'd say.
Interesting. I kind of agree with the fact that mentorship is really important because people have access to it. I think it's so I have learned the fact in my life that it won't affect you a lot if you try to reach out to a person. So I never hesitate to reach out to a person if I need any help. Like even in this podcast, while I've not shared it, but I'm gonna share it right away. But that I reach out to a lot of folks. Some say yes, some say no, some might not even reply. But it's more about reaching out. If you reach out, at least they will know that you're reaching out. I think it's more important, and people kind of hesitate that. And specifically designers, I have seen a lot of designers hesitating for help. uh, and yeah, I think they can get a lot of this from a journey that like you travel to different cities and to kind of get uh, somehow that mentorship or somehow that push for you to be in design. Let's move a little into deep into this about your college experience and how that that college experience kind of led you to design. And like you said, you traveled to colleges, and how did you manage at that time?
So yeah, very interesting thing. So luckily, I was in a university that's a deemed open course, so there wasn't any one particular this thing. So we used to choose our content and the course. So one thing was constant in my mind. I went to mechanical engineering because I loved that thing. So I should justify for that and justify for the money that my parents are paying for the college. But I'm also so passionate about this. So I made a like a proper this thing that I should justify to my parents, I should justify to myself as well. So that balancing thing was always there in my mind. Ki how should I do both the things in one hand and not get ruined with both the stuff. And that's the way I feel like I've managed both the courses so well, because there was also an open course opportunity in our college that I was frequently traveling, and also never it created an obstacle sort of this thing ki you should have 100% attendance or 75% attendance to cross this sort of thing. And I'm also thankful for the faculty, because back then I used to so much roam and show so much curiosity in doing these things. The faculty and the mentors back in my college were also used to getting excited that at least this kid is so passionate about something, let's let him do what he is really passionate about. And I was doing justification there as well, getting good scores in my mechanical engineering degree as well, because I was passionate about that thing only. So one thing I learned in life is that when you're passionate about anything, time became surplus. So you 24 hours suddenly became like 24 weeks for you. So every minute becomes an hour. So that's what helped me in my case. And the other thing I would say is, so back then in Telangana, it was a combined state, Andhra and Telangana together. So when the time came around 2015 and all, I wanted to get some hands-on work for myself. I wanted to understand how I can utilize these opportunities and understand, because T hubs were coming up there itself, like statewide
Hmm.
incubation centers and innovation centers. So I wanted to explore how could I contribute to this ecosystem and all. So we worked with few of the like same mindset sort of people, and we get started with a little small startup called as Indian Ori back then. So our deal was to just help small consumers get onboarded and create websites or templates for them so that they can use those marketing materials to get their customers off. So that was my first real application of design that I learned after roaming across these different places. And that thing took really well, and it was a state separation process. So there was a lot of chaos. People weren't understanding which part they should shift into or where what's happening exactly. Because of state separation, we got good 9 months of time in between that I used completely for to travel myself to IITG, NIDA, because there was no college back then. It was like
Hmm.
everything was shut down and all. And I used to go there, talk to different vendors and customers of them, and used to tell them that we will create this website for you. We will create these flexes or boards for you so that you can advertise, and we will implement this sort of human computer interaction. I used to pitch like a marketer. I used to sell design to these folks. So that process really helped me to build connections and understand how does the market work. And that initial push has helped me understand the fundamentals really well, ki what does the basic actual the real user wants. Until then there wasn't this concept of designing for the users and all that. So but when I
Hmm.
used to go talk to them, understand their emotions and feelings, and that's where I understood that we have to make some user centric product. Yeah, from there it continued really well, and then we stopped that, and then Swachh Bharat Abhiyan started. So I felt
Hmm.
like, oh, this sounds with the sustainability aspect, and I was very curious into doing that. So then I started a small community where it's an app, basically an e-recycling sort of company, where in apartments our vendors used to be there everywhere. All you have to do is just book through your app, and we used to go collect their paper waste and then send it to factories and all and get it recycled. So in that way I understood the process of recycling that just came as a pain point for me myself, ki in societies and colonies usually kabadi walas never used to come, and there's a lot of stuff that's been piled up, but what is the problem that how can I solve. And that was another exciting journey that took for 6 and 7 months. So that gave one sort of another experience. So throughout all this process, I would say I was practically implementing the design, trying to solve the daily issues that I was facing or someone else was facing, and doing it. And that's how like I feel those core basics and things were being learned, and the journey just followed from there up.
Super awesome. I think people can get a lot of out of it, that that you kind of used all the things that you had, the skills and the passionate things that you had, like entrepreneurship, engineering, design, problem solving, everything, to kind of give back. Again, that's the core concept that you said, that giving back to society. Uh, and I really loved the point that you said, that if you are passionate about a thing, uh, 24 hours becomes 24 weeks. And so just a personal anecdote that I recently figured that out when I am doing stuff which I really love, that time you just do it really nicely, and time, like, you understand that time is really, like, you have a lot of time to do that. That's very interesting point for sure. Super awesome. Let's go more into that, like how now, like, obviously the college experience and everything, how then Byju's came into picture.
Yeah. So Byju's was a very like a creative turnover in my life, I'd say. So I thought after my education, so I've been also awarded as a achiever of the batch in my engineering this time. And post that I was fixed. I should go to my sister, explore more on human computer interactions and how I could build a proper career around it. That was my more main goal and all. And that's when a friend of mine, her husband, he started work as a in Byju's, and then he said me ki, the concept that the stuff that these guys are doing is really exciting and all. So I wasn't like edtech wasn't a big thing back then, and I was very curious ki how they are shaping the young minds to be like who are the gonna be the future leaders and all. And that's when I reached out to Ashwin. I sent him direct my resume and all, and I had a good portfolio by then because I had already worked with all this different folks by freelance this and all. Ashwin, when he saw, he was very much excited, and he said, "Ki okay, you come join with us as an intern first. We'll test you out. Ki how well will you fit in our block, and then we'll get you in." So the moment I went there, it was a very tiny team back then, and almost everyone was so passionate about building one thing that will shape, that will bring the revolution in the education. So that decision, like, of me not going to US and Byju's, is something that I still will never regret in my life. And my parents were like, you should go really to do masters and all, because your sister and all are there, they're waiting, so that you just now completed your graduation, it's your time and all. But totally against by their will and wish, I went. And it was a great journey. Like every day there was a new learning basically for me, because what I learned, I had totally, in Byju's they used to say unlearn, relearn, and all that. But that's what really happened with me when I was there as well. So it was like every day some new concepts. Every day, like in our they used to train us as well. So they used to make us watch different movies, then talk about different aspect ratios, talk about different lengths, which is like totally non-related, I would say, for the
Mhm.
main job that I'm doing. But still it added so much value. When I look back and see it given me so many perspectives to see a certain work in different angles. I'd say Byju's was my holy grail, or you could say it was my design college per se, because so much different things, so many different explorations we have done there. And yeah, like by the time I left the company creativity will almost scale to 600 people. So when I joined, there were 20 to 30 people. So that's how massive growth happened. And during those skills, it's not just the craft, they also taught us how to mingle with these sort of people. When you scale up, when your teams grows up, how do you take up another intern, how do you help them grow, how do you help them teach different skills. So it was like a design plus a master's degree, I'd say, that I had experience over there. And that's why I always say, like, to any beginner who wanted to get started in an industry, it's always best to work in a ground based startup whose mission and values align with yours as well. And if you do so, the learnings that you get out of that, be it a year or two, it's based upon you how much you soak in. But you will definitely be successful throughout your next parts of your life, because you will learn almost everything that needs to be run from a company's perspective.
Super interesting, and I think I agree with some of the facts here. And one special thing that I got out of this is like the you kind of you kind of, for sure you were doing the job, but I think you got a great experience out of that job. And that was very important, that the kind of learning that you got, as you said, the experience of having a design school, because you never went to one. So that experience was really important. And obviously ground up startups are the best place to kind of do that, for sure. It's really really awesome to kind of be in a state, like be in a place like that, to where you learn from people. Uh, Going forward, I want to ask. I think you later worked at a studio, and which got acquired by Infosys. So I really want to know how did you got how why did you change, and how what was your purpose on your mind and stuff.
Yeah, it's a great story, and I have also a backstory to this. So because of like things were going great at Byju's, like it was a wonderful journey, and it was scaling much more and more. So, but because of my personal commitments, I had to switch back to Hyderabad, and then I always had something in mind, like what if I go into the service industry? How does
Hmm.
service industry look like? Was something also I wanted to always experience, because when I was there in Byju's, I was going through a lot of design meetups. I myself gave talks over there. I was writing a lot of stuff on Medium, and I would say writing is something that really helped me to connect back with the roots of my different learnings that I did. So we'll talk about that journey as well once we talk about nodes of design and all. But yeah, I wanted to touch down the service industry and understand how does different companies work, because till now I wanted to also increase my product portfolio offering. So till there was an already edtech satisfied being there, and I heard that in studios you can work upon multiple projects, because projects just come for 3 to 4 months. Within those 3 to 4 months you'll be completely immersed into a certain domain, be it transportation, communication, or banking. So that was a thing that really triggered me up, and the opportunity was also great, and I had to move back to Hyderabad. So I felt that was a right spot, and that's how I joined the Wongdodi Studios, which is also part of Infosys. And there also the journey has been quite exciting, and because it was all about working, going beyond India. It was all about a new user base that I have never explored before. It was all about understanding a new domain and then applying your fundamentals of design in that domain to really solve that problem. So that sort of experience I learned there, and it was a really great experience, I would say again.
Interesting. And what would you say, like shifting to a service based and later now joining Microsoft? I want to know why then you kind of changed into Microsoft, and how has been your experience at Microsoft been till now?
Wonderful. So post Infosys Wongdodi, I had joined Temenos. So
Hmm.
when I was doing products there on transportation and finance and all, I got really into the concept of how does banks work, and I was also into DeFi and stuff. So it was always exciting for me to understand and see the scenes behind from the background. How does
Hmm.
banks operate? How does banking software work? How does they manage the customers, the load and everything? And I felt Temenos was a great opportunity for me to again. So my simple fundamental is wherever you go, make sure you learn 200% out of it. So don't just consider your work as your work. Consider work as your learning place as well. Is my always fundamental this thing, and that's how I have chosen companies also while I was just shifting, because I feel in once you grow in your career, it's always great to learn different things and different perspectives and make different mentors throughout your journey that will guide the next steps in your journey. So that's what happened. And then when I was in Temenos, few of my friends and few of the mentors that I had made connections with, and they were already in Microsoft, and I've been hearing super exciting stories about how they are creating stuff that's impacting people on scale, and they could feel that. So it was all data driven design. Every decision was data supported and all. So those things really excited me, and then that's how Microsoft happened. And inside Microsoft also, I was blessed to get into a team that was just starting out, the Microsoft Start Health team. And it was again a great experience based on my previous experiences of building at Byju's and all that similar experience. I found it again. So it was almost like a design school refreshed for me here. So yeah, that's how the journey till Microsoft had led to. And the things that I really love in Microsoft is, of course, the culture, the growth mindset that the company is focused on. So those pillars really help everyone around you to constantly think something innovative, to constantly push themselves up, to make something that really creates an impact out there in the global world. So, for example, like I have designed the vaccine center and the COVID mobile tracker during the peak COVID days when I just joined the company. For me, I almost felt like it's a superhero sort of a task, because it's a moment of the hour that you're working on in helping people find the vaccines. There's a moment of the hour in which people were checking COVID tracker and how many deaths cases and what's the trend and stats happening around them. So I would say I was at the right time at the right place, and I was blessed with this opportunity to directly create impact in someone's life, in helping someone get better health resources during those times of crisis. And I felt no, in wherever if I was in some other organization, I wouldn't have experienced this sort of thing. And that's why I love my journey with Microsoft. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I really want to know, and I think a lot of people watching this would really want to know how was the recruiting at Microsoft? How was how many rounds did you take? Did you had to take and stuff around that?
So the recruiting is quite like any other company. Like, you've been given certain tasks, there are certain rounds of interviews that you have to go through, and you have to then apply your product thinking, apply your knowledge. And the first and foremost thing I feel at every interview that they see is like the growth mindset that you carry, and how well you can fit into the culture is something, and how well like you can be a learner every day. So that's a fundamental I have seen at across Microsoft, be it at different levels. Every person is striving and striving to learn something new every day. That ability to openly accept everything and learn new stuff, be at whatever level you are, is something that's a core fundamental. And having a great portfolio and these concepts that I've just explained, the pillars, would really help you get in.
Okay. Does these pillars depend on different companies, or would you say like trying to just find a company that you can relate to your core values? Does that matter a lot?
Yeah, so basically there's a very thin line, I would say, always in this. So it's always important that you align with the company mission before even you apply to that company. Because as I mentioned previously, if you are not really passionate about a job, then don't do that job. It's better not to do rather than doing some half job. So no matter what, if you are not passionate about it, be it how big a company it is, don't just apply for it for sake of doing it. If you are really passionate and if you are think you are totally ready, then only just go and apply, because there are tons of resources that these companies also put to recruit you back inside also. So it's always better to save your time and the others time as well. So until and unless if you are fully prepared, and until and unless you know what has to be done, simply don't just apply. That's my first advice. And second, now with the platforms like ADP list and all, you can easily connect with any mentor from any across the world. So it's always better to find your real mentor in the company that you really feel like going through. Try to understand their culture, try to understand the products they are building. Get passionate yourself, I'd say, first, even before applying, and then get into the process of applying. Then what will happen is, automatically when you craft your portfolio, when you practice for your interviews as well, you'll automatically start thinking from the mindset of the guy who is already there in that company. And that's make the whole process quite easy to get you into whatever company that you want.
Amazing, amazing. Let's now get more into your giving back side, and I really want to know how did Nodes of Design got started, and what kind, like obviously you told that you did a lot of initiatives in your college time, but what are you doing now, and how did that Nodes of Design thing got started?
So yeah, there's a very interesting angle to it. Like, every initiative started with some conversation with some friend. So I started first writing in Medium back in 2017, when Medium was quite new and a lot of design wasn't focusing on that, and there were a lot of designers from the West who were like writing hardcore articles over there, and that really inspired me, because till now I wasn't getting a material to understand perspective out, and then Medium was like a dam for me for to all these resources. Then I felt like, why shouldn't I document my journeys on Medium and share my learnings on Medium? And that's how I started writing on Medium, and it got a really good traction that twice I became the top writer in design. And I myself got really shocked, because I wasn't really into writing before into the Medium thing. But what I wanted was to I had to learn the skill, so I had to do this. And that's where I came across this concept of doing anything for 52 weeks. And since then, like since 2016, I've been doing that. That is like, every year I take up one thing and I try to follow consistency of 52 weeks. So I used to write every article And every week, no matter where I used to upload it for sure that every week ek 52 पे जाना ही जाना. And that had helped me build consistency and also learn new skills. So when I was writing through the medium, I was like, ठीक है, it was going well, it was going into UX collective and publishing and all, but it wasn't helping the crowd or the generation of the Indian audience. So one day I was at a speech. I went to an event. I was as a speaker. After the event, one lady came to me and she said, "Ki I read your articles and all. They are really exciting and stuff. But I'm kind of accessible. So why don't you make something which is like a audio thing? Why don't you convert all your articles into audio?" And that really lit my mind कि अब तक मैंने ऐसा कुछ सोचा क्यों नहीं है. Why didn't I thought about accessibility? Because almost everyone is accessible in some or the other way. We have some or the other issue. So that's when this thing kicked me ki why don't I start this? And then I had a conversation with my friends and all. And podcasting wasn't also a big culture then. 2018 के time पे there were only two or three Indian design podcasts that too only focused on Indian guests and Indian cultures and art. But there wasn't any international where the audience and the also the crowd or the speaker that's are coming are also from international this thing. And I hadn't also had a plan to make it that big and all. Even I wasn't really sure कि चलेगा भी नहीं because no one was really into audio. People, especially from our country, they were only into audio when they were listening music while traveling or this thing. But I wasn't really sure whether they'll take in these sort of subjects like design, that too in a distilled format on an audio. That was a journey. Like that lady just lit up that thing in my mind, and then my friends. I'd say you should also make great friends throughout at every journey at every company that you go through, because I'm telling all these initiatives that I started, it started because of some conversation, some late night conversation with some friend somewhere. So that's where we started this thing. And then our initial episodes were like really blur because I had no clue on how to do a podcast this thing. I had no proper audio gear, but I had something ki bhai karna hai kuch types. And I first tried to record my articles only and publish it out, but they weren't doing that well because just me reading my perspectives. And that's where I reached out to folks on Twitter. The design Twitter community had really helped me. So 2019 was the first official, like the original guest came in and did. Before that, I was just simply recording my own episodes in Notes of Design. And that too, she was a very good close friend of mine. So I had invited her only as the first guest because we wanted to try out the material. And I recorded that episode and sent it out. We got a good response because it was a spontaneous conversation, like how we are doing. She was sharing her journey and all that. But when the pro listened to that audio, they said ki, hey man, you really had to work out as well because in this standard, it won't even cross your country. Forget about the other things that you are planning to do with this. And that's where I found a friend from Argentina. She recommended ki she'll help me out with the sound team and all. And she hooked me up with some really great folks who are still working on the audio for Nodes of Design podcast. And since then, like we had wonderful top A level VPs, CVPs from all different spheres of life and all different companies who had came and shared their journeys, and that too like on a single topic. So the whole idea of Nodes of Design was to first it was the idea of saying my perspective, my thoughts and all, but then it transformed into how can I distill the knowledge of someone who has 20 years of experience on one particular topic. For example, Manuel Lima on data visualization, it's like a gold of an episode. The person who had written three books on database coming and speaking on database, that too in a distilled 20 minutes podcast. So our whole idea was around this ki how can we make an audio library of 100 episodes कि जो भी गया नहीं डिजाइन स्कूल बट उसने नोट्स ऑफ डिजाइन सुन लिया तो done, his design degree is done. And that's how the mission started. And we have released 84 episodes till now. We are closing to 100, touchwood. And the journey has been really great. We have listeners from 108 countries. We have been the most trending podcast in multiple 36 to 40 countries around the world still at this moment while I'm talking. And the response from the crowd is also really wonderful, that they have been learning from these gurus of those subject matter experts. And yeah, that's how the Notes of Design journey is happening. And while I was doing that, just in a midnight random conversation, my friend mentioned that she wanted to join into Pratt for design degree. And while discussing, we went on the material, but we couldn't find much of the knowledge over there. And then just a thought came ki, why don't I make videos on design school kids who just graduated from that university? In that way, you can build community also. In that way, a new person who is about to go to that university will get insights from someone who just graduated from the university. So that's how de-education started on YouTube. And currently we crossed 1.1k subscribers as well. But more of subscribers, it helped so many people, because
Hmm.
all those were like from my friends only, most of them who came onto that videos and spoke. And they
Hmm.
all were also part of a community now giving back. So all the people who are seeing those videos are DMing them, asking them about their college, the fee structure, and how they can go, and their experience surviving in US or Europe. So yeah, that's how the other journey had started as well. And yeah, like all these problems that I see, which I feel like maybe I can solve it better, I just get started with it because I feel I'm blessed with all these resources and people around me. So why not just utilize them and give back to the community? Because once upon a time I was in the opposite side, trying to find these resources, trying to get into these different things. So yeah, that's how I'd say the blessings of the people and all this stuff are still running. And yeah, man, once you do good stuff, the good will resonate back to you. So yeah.
Congratulations, man. It's and I have seen a lot of like episodes there. They are very wonderful. I'm gonna link the podcast down for everyone who's watching. The one thing that I really loved about the podcast recently, because like a lot of, like, I have been surrounded by people who kind of go abroad to study, and I have like, that's the kind of pressure I also have. So the point I really loved about, like, I was able to listen to the experience of people who have graduated from those colleges, which finding them online is difficult. The only way I could find, again, as I said, is either go on LinkedIn, find some people who are studying there, message them, hoping that they will reply. Uh, Depends, like, they don't, as I said. That's what I really loved about that experience. And also what you said about getting the subject matter on board and getting to, like, talking about this in the subject in the deepest manner possible. That's what I really loved, and that's also design that I'm trying to make something it for, so that people can kind of relate to the journey that people have gone through, while, like, obviously going through their own journey. That's awesome, Ravi. So, the what's the next question that I really ask everyone here who comes as a guest is, like, what's next in your life? You are doing nodes of design. You are at Microsoft. What's next for Ravi?
So I I plan, like, if I say, I don't know if I sound cliche if I say this, but I don't plan for long, and I just aim for things like in one day what else I can do differently and what else I can learn in a day. For example, while before we started this recording, I was asking about this tool that you were using, which I wasn't aware of. So this is a new learning
Hmm.
for me. So maybe post after recording, I'll sit learn more new things about this. So I try to always see before a day ends, what are the different things that I have done like the best, the better, and what are the bad. And I journal them out, and that really helps me clear my mind as well and understand what better I can do tomorrow. So I don't plan long. I just feel like just go with the flow, but along with that flow, have a structure in your mind always ready. What's next, and yeah, that what's next is what something that keeps moving you ahead. And just be observant about every problem that you see, because from problems only arises the greatest solutions. And that's all my journey has been throughout. I was just seeking from problems, and then that's the reason where I came across different solutions. That's where I gained my different experiences as well. So I'd say just experience every day, and don't just say you only have 24 hours, but no, we have more time if you are like super passionate about things. So yeah, just get passionate and just keep going every day. Just try to live out the best you can.
Perfect, man. The one last question I really ask everyone who comes on the podcast is, what are some advices that you can give? Can be one, can be two, can be three, to the budding designers in the community who are trying to kind of make something in the industry. What would you advise them in this current scenario?
Okay. So currently I've been mentoring a lot of folks this year. Like and like through ADP list. And before that, I was doing it offline. But one trend that I've noticed after doing these mentorships and all is that people are really eager into just get into the industry, only thinking that they can earn more out of this. But I'd say first be passionate about the things. First, try to understand. I totally agree, and I totally align that money is a very huge thing. But you have to be really passionate about the things first, like at the early stage of your career, and then think about money. So that's my first thing. And second, I think is like have a growth mindset. Be open to feedback and be open to anything for that matter. Be learn every day new thing, like even if it's that's the smallest of smallest that you can do, and continuously note your progress. And then third is to aim big, because if you aim for moon, at least you'll fall for the stars. So aim big and accordingly work hard as well for that aim. So even if you doesn't make to the moon, you will at least reach till the star. And follow proper structure in your life. Find great mentors and friends along with you, because I always felt this: the sum of 10 people around you is what you will become. So it's always best to form a community, to form a people like with whom you can share your things out and they'll guide you in the right way. So that's really important, be it any part of your career you are in. So and then, yeah, be a knowledge seeker. Try to learn every day some new stuff, even though if it's not related to design. Because trust me, design is such a vast field. जो आपने कहीं और कुछ पढ़ा, that will someday will come and implement it here. So it, I'd say like, and creativity is something that's been born, like everyone's born with that thing. So it's more like जिसने ज़्यादा जितना absorb किया उसको जितना ज़्यादा experiences देखे, the more better he can be. So it's like keep open yourself up to the transformations and experiences that you get, and that will only help you shape into a better designer. And then practice and give time for extra side hobbies, because that will help you your mind get also refreshed and all. So yeah, man, these are the few things that I'll suggest for any budding designer.
Super insightful, man. Super insightful. And I think I love the fact that you said be open to experiences. So like while I have been in the design industry for quite a while, but recently I shifted out. Like I kind of moved out of my house to Bangalore, and I kind of experienced a lot of like people meetups, like other thousand other things, which for sure enhance the way I look at design and the things. But yeah, man, I think all those tips are really helpful for the people watching this. Probably anything else that you want to say to people who are watching this before we end this?
No, I guess I have shared too much, but I'm happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn or help them out with any mentorship or any guidance that they want. And yeah, looking forward to more creators like you, Abhay, who are, taking up these sort of challenges, inspiring. Because I feel like you never know when that thought or moment of inspiration comes for anyone, be it any person or anything. So I feel like the more content creators like us will generate this sort of good content, the more the community and the design community in India especially will grow, and the more the newer generation folks will also feel interested about this craft and this field to get entered into. So thank you, Abhay, for inviting me to this, and I'm looking forward to meet more people through this video.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. And really thankful that you kind of accepted to kind of come here and share your insight. I'm telling you, this was one of the best insightful podcasts that I've done. Uh, for sure, it's gonna help a lot of people. I'm gonna link your LinkedIn and your podcast in the description so that anyone can reach out to you. Thanks a lot, Ravi. Thanks a lot, everyone, for watching. It's been a wonderful podcast, and we'll see you guys in the next one.